All right, Shalom. First and foremost, Slaki. I would like to begin by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to hopefully leg. So, the title of this video is, well, it was inspired by the brother Naaman, also a part of Keepers of the Sheep, right? But the title will be, we have to get out of these fleshly bodies, or something to that effect. I might try to shorten it up a little bit, right? But the point being, otherwise, and that made me think of another precept. We can't be in this flesh, you know, especially in the days coming. And this right here specifically, talking about, you know, Jacob's trouble and things of that nature. I'm trying to figure out how it goes. This is Matthew 24 and 22. It says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. So you got to pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushua that we are a part of the elect, right? Because like I said, these fleshly bodies that we have, they can't withstand anything. You know, they're not built for that, right? Now, you know, point that the brother was bringing out, right, was how, you know, back in the older days, in the elder world, right, in the ancient world, the ancient days, you know, people lived hundreds of years, right? For example, let's go into it. This is Genesis 5, and we can start at we could just read a couple verses, you know, here and there, because as you can see, Genesis 5 and 14, all the days of Canaan were 910 years. He lived 910 years, right? Then you got what was verse 16, Mahalalel. It says he lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. So this man was old, having children, right? So you can see, again, just the same way that the scriptures tell you that the earth gets weaker through age, we have too, you know. So we got to get out of these fleshly bodies. These fleshly bodies are decaying, right? So that's really on that. That's just a point, right? But this is Jude 1 and 6, right? Because, you know, when you go into the creation story, right, or I don't like saying story because it makes it sound like it's false or fable, but the creation account, the account of the creation, right, and just Genesis 1. Well, I don't think it's 1, but we'll find it. Yeah. I think it's either 2 or 3, yeah. That's a point that I want. What's the point I'm looking for? It's like it. There it is, 3. So Genesis 3 and 22, right? It says, and Yahweh, or you could say, and you know, the Most High, right? Because you know when it says, when it has the Lord in all caps, that's saying the name of the Lord, which is Yahweh, and then, you know, God just means power. So you can say like Yahweh power, you know, or you can read it verbatim. But it says, and Yahweh said, behold, the man is become as one of us. One of us pertaining to who? Who is he talking to? The angels, right? It says to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also the tree of life and eat and live forever, right? So that's how to say we were supposed to be like the angels, right? We were supposed to be, or we were created to be immortal. That's what we were supposed to be. But as it's about to tell you, because I'm going to read this in the Wisdom of Solomon. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 23 says, for the Most High created man to be immortal. That's what we were made for. We were supposed to be immortal. We were supposed to have immortal bodies. We were supposed to have spiritual, all these types of things, right? It says, and he made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil through envy of the devil came death into the world. So, and that devil being who? What does devil mean? Devil means deceiver. Who's the deceivers? Who deceived the whole earth for pursuing the book of Revelation? Esau, Edom, right? That was that subtle beast, that serpent, right? That's Esau, Edom, or the spirit of Esau, Edom, right? Continuing on, it says, and they that do hold of his side do find it, right? So again, we were supposed to be immortal, but through sin, that didn't happen, to make it simple, right? But again, like I said, we were supposed to be as the angels. So this is proving that. Jude 1 and 6. It says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reversed in everlasting chains under darkness. Those everlasting chains being what? These fleshly bodies. We're stuck in these fleshly bodies to live out these judgments because, if you can receive it through regeneration, we are the same people from back then. You get sent back over and over. Now, all praises that, the prophets are the ones teaching and preaching, the 100% truth, right? Specifically from the elders, apostles of GMS on down, right? They have been in this truth all this time, right? Because, like I said, if you can receive it through regeneration, we know that you come back doing the same things. If you were teaching and preaching back then, back like when Yahushua was in the scene, you could be doing the same thing now, right? So we were blessed, and I say we lightly, right? Praying and hoping that, being a part of that hopefully elect, right? But in the case that I am, we were gifted with, the blessing to have that role, to have this role in the Most High's movie. This is just his movie. It's already laid out. He's just watching it unfold. But everybody was placed in specific roles. Everybody has specific lots. But, I'm getting far from the point. So I'm going to start back at the top of verse 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day, right? So again, we were supposed to be those immortal bodies. We were supposed to be living, like they were in the elder world. We're supposed to live for years and years, but these fleshly bodies, they're immortal. Not immortal, they're mortal, right? They have an end date. They decay. You got sicknesses in your body, you got aches and pains, and it's a hassle, man. That's more so going towards the end. Yeah, I'll go into this. I'll read this. Because, this is referring to specifically that crowning service, right? But I'm getting the point that I want, which is verse 45. So I started 44. I'm sure brothers know the story, or know the account, right? Because again, we have to get out of these fleshly bodies, but how do you do it? You got to endure into the end, because that's how you're going to get your immortal body. That's what I just read in, what was that? Is that Matthew? I must be so like I could have sworn I just or something like that. But that's besides the point. But like I said, we have to get out of these fleshly bodies or just like it just said in Matthew, except those days be shortened, you know, no flesh shall be saved, but the elect be saved. Why would the elect be saved? Because they're gonna get those immortal bodies when we get beamed up. And again, I say we lightly because that's just me praying that I'm a part of the hopeful elect. But when we get beamed up, in those chariots, that's when we're gonna get those immortal bodies, man. So this is Second Esdras 2, and I started 44, like I said. It says, "So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of the Most High, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua. Now are they crowned and receive palms." Right? So that's it. You got to enter into the end, but like I said, you got to get out of these fleshly bodies in order to be a part of that elect. That's what I'm gonna read. This is 1 Corinthians 15, and I start at 50. Right? And I think I'm gonna read. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna start at 50. It says, "Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High." It can't. So we have to be out of these fleshly bodies. Otherwise, we won't be able to get to the kingdom, which is the ultimate goal, of course. Right? It's that corruption, like it's going to talk about, right? It says, "Neither does corruption inherit incorruption." Right? "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we all shall be." Slow down. "We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. For in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality." We have to put on that immortality when Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua come back. We're not. I mean, again, it told you in the book of Matthew, no flesh is going to be saved, man. I mean, oh snap, clear ESPN Slovakia. I mean, you must think this is a joke. Hold on. Like, this is what the Lord gonna be doing. Isaiah 66 and 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." This place is going to be burnt up. This place is in America and Israel, right? Because he has to, that place is corrupted, But continuing on. Verse 16, it says, "For by fire and by his sword will Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many." He's gonna kill a lot of people. So you gotta put on that immortality to not be a part of that. Right? Going back to 1 Corinthians 15 and 54, it says, "So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and when this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory." So that's when that's when it's gonna be over. We're gonna be in the kingdom, for an eternity, forever. We're gonna rule forever. Israel's gonna be back on top, the way it's supposed to be. All right, and I'll just finish it off. Right, verse 55. It says, "O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks be to the Most High, which gives us the victory through our Lord Hamashiach Yahushua. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Got to put in that work to get those immortal bodies, man. But Lord willing to edifying. Gonna end by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders. Great millstone. Shalom.